This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, hello all. Welcome to the next session on SAP ABAP. And in the last class, we have discussed about the object-oriented ALV. And we have seen the interactiveness in the ALV reports by using object orientation. And we have used the double-click functionality. We have used the uh, application toolbar buttons. And we have added the application toolbar buttons. So if you want to do any interactiveness in the object-oriented ALV, so everything is an action. So the action is nothing but an event in the object orientation. So we are going to use the events in the object orientation, guys. So let me just recap on the yesterday's program. So what exactly we did in the yesterday's program? Okay, so I will go to the SAP and go to SAP, and we have implemented an um, no, I think the switch you need to on it, guys. So please on the switch. Just I will take 5 minutes. Okay, wait.
This conference will now be recorded.
So we did the ALV reporting by using object orientation. So in the last class, what we did is PDZ9 and star PUR star. So this is the report which we did, and execute this report. And this is my input. So every program will have an input. And when I execute, the processing logic will execute, and you are going to get an output, guys. So we need to define a interfacing parameters for the event. Then we need to implement the defining methods is done, and so that's what we did. And I go back to the program now, and I'm going to show. So what exactly we done this program. So everybody knows we need to define a types to declare the internal table, and we have declare the internal tables, and we have defined the uh, uh, we have defined I'll go to the start of selection, which gives a more flow guys than this. We'll go to the events and start of selection, and we fetched the data. This is a data processing logic. We fetched the data by using select statement, by using for all entries, and also we loop the data from the item, and we read the data from internal table. And if the record exists, we are moving that particular data to the final. Guys, don't think that suppose I am reading the data from this internal table. So if size of RC not equal to 0, don't think that you will not get any output. Here, only this particular record will not get into the output, but you will get an output. Why? Because we are doing an append here, guys. Whatever the data, if size of RC equal to 0, this data will come into the output. Suppose if I have another read, if the size of RC not equal to 0, that data will not come into the output, guys. That is the clarity you should be having. So don't think that only that record. So for that data in that internal table is missing, that's it. But the other data is there. The other data will be appended to the final internal table, guys. So based on the one question, I explained that concept. And let's take an example of I am reading a data from the MARA MAKT. So whenever I read it, MAKT fails, size of RC not equal to 0. MAKT means the description. The description not comes into the output, guys. So that's the thing. And next goes to the call screen. I did a call screen. In the call screen, we have two events. One is the PBO and another one is the PA. So if you want to display the data in screen, we need to use the PBO. In the PBO, I have written a logic. See, I instantiated the CLGA custom container, and I have given a name of that custom container, and we have instantiated the class geo underscore ALV, and in the geo underscore ALV, and we need to place the parent, the custom control object to the geo underscore ALV. And in this, and we are going to generate the field catalog by using LVC field catalog merge. And suppose if you want to add more attributes, the field catalog attributes than the generated attributes, you need to read it and you need to enable it. Hotspot doesn't provide automatically. So you need to set explicitly. So what field we need to have in a hotspot, and for that we need to read the data from the internal table and pass the data. And see, just now we talked about internal table operation. What is modify statement? Here exactly we are using. Already I have a record in the field catalog. If I want to modify that record with additional parameter, I'm going to modify that internal table with the required field by index site and site will work for the read table. See, all the fundamentals we are using it, and transporting what field you are changing it. Like this, all other fields also I have enabled any other attributes in the field catalog. And the method which we called set table for first display, which will display the data on the screen. And we need to pass the final data, we need to pass the internal field catalog internal table. Then the next interactiveness, if you want to do an interactiveness on the screen, so we must define a local class. So class is a comes under the declaration part. So that's why I go to the on top of start of selection. See, so before the start of selection, so this is my start of selection. Before this, I have defined a class. Class comes under a declaration part, and here you can see the class definition. So if you want to define a class, we have learned on the object orientation. We spend 15 or 20 hours on the object orientation. So we have a class definition, we have a class implementation. In the class definition, so we need to handle the event handler methods. So here method and handle double click. Double click is an event, and for event double click, see, I'm mentioning the event name and of which class, CLGA ALV grid, and what are the importing parameters of that class case. So now I define the method. You need to implement the method. If you want to implement the method, you need to go to the class implementation. The class implementation, I declared a method and end method. But whenever you click on it, okay, whenever you click on a field, So you are going to get the clicked on row, on which row you clicked on it, and which column you clicked on it. That will be stored in the interfacing parameters of that event. So you need to take that interfacing parameters. You need to write the logic. So when you click on the material, and so I don't know the what value you clicked on it. So you need to read that value. If you want to read that value, I know the index of that record. So based on the index, I can read the table, read table, and I can take that value MATNR. So if you want to display the transaction, any transaction, just now we talked about the transaction. See, it's in a product information. The product, if you want to display, we are going to use an MM03, MM01 to create, MM02 to change, MM03 to display. So the same transaction which we have used to display the call transaction, MM03. But how you can display that particular clicked on record value? So you need to set that value in the SAP global memory by using set parameter ID. This parameter ID, how you can determine a parameter ID for a field is by using data element in the further characteristics. You are going to get a parameter ID, guys. That's the fun of the double click, guys. Next, I did a, I need to add, suppose, see, whenever I click on material, it goes to the material display, that's fine. But for every purchasing document, now I will go to the purchasing flow. So purchasing means as in a company, so let's say take Amazon is very good example for the business. Okay, they do the online business, they don't manufacture any product. They are going to get the products from the vendors. So here Amazon is going to purchase the products from the vendors and going to sell the product to the customers, customer, vendor, and Amazon. And whenever I would like to get the product, I need to purchase. Whenever I need to sell to the customer, it's in a sales order, it's in a purchase order. Here the customer, here the vendor, right? So whenever I purchase the product, I need to receive the product to my company. So it's an inbound delivery. When I sell the product to the customer, I am going to sell the product to the customer, I am going to deliver the product to the customer. It's an outbound delivery, guys. Same terms we are going to use in SAP. We have an outbound delivery, we have an inbound delivery. So we need to display the inbound deliveries. So for these orders, what are all the orders which I have received the products from the vendor? See, I have given a vendor on this report. So who is supplying? See, this is the product which I am buying from. Which vendor I am buying from this product? So maybe there should be a vendor, guys. So vendor will be available somewhere. I have defined a vendor. Yeah, see guys, this is the vendor number. So where you can see the vendors. So the transaction codes are XK01, XK02, XK03. This is the vendors. Maybe I would like to double click this vendor. It should go to the XK03. So can I do that functionality over here? Because I need to see. So here I see only number, but I don't know whether it is an MRF, whether it is in a C8, whether it is in a TVS. So what kind of vendor it is? So who is the vendor? If you want to see the display of the vendor details, I need to double click on the vendor. It should go to the vendor details. So let's go into the action is same, but I need to enable in a double. See the hotspot symbol I need to enable when the field equal to vendor and do the hotspot. So see, go to the where you can do this PBO. In the PBO, we have a field catalog. See guys, so here the problem is whenever I give the requirement, you don't know where to go and where to write the code. That's the problem everybody will face, right? So you need to think the program architecture. So my flow is I displayed the data on a screen. So how did you display the data? By using PBO. In the PBO, you have used a set table for first display and the field catalog which you have passed to that method. That means if I make some changes to the field catalog, that will be reflected on the screen. So where did you implemented the field catalog? Go to that place and go to the PBO module. Yes. So the data will be displayed in the PBO module and you need to come to the PBO module. Here I have generated in a field catalog. See here I am doing a modifications, guys. So let's change the thing and I already did the same kind of code. I'm going to write the same kind of code for the another field. It's an listener, guys. This is the changes actually. So this flow you should know it, guys. So it's just change whenever it is in a listener and pass the hotspot. It will enable an hotspot for this field and activate simple. See, so And now you execute. Maybe I have a transaction to execute this. And GEDG in 9, I think, what is the transaction code which we have created? If you don't know, SCAT will give everything. ALV, PROO, JET, ALV, PUROO, and JET, ALV, PUROO, enter. See, it's the transaction code. We are executing this and execute, and you can see. And see here I have enabled a hotspot for the material. Now I go to the vendor. If I want to go to the vendor, this is the problem with the this guys. So vendor is available here. See, this is the vendor number, the hotspot symbol comes. But when I double click on this, I need to handle the functionality guys. But when I click it, it goes here. But the column is listener. But I write it, I didn't write, I didn't a code for the metnar. So did I implemented the code for the vendor?
This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.